First, we have Jake's take, hot off the back deck of Rick Clunn's boat at his 500th Bassmaster event. Then he was with Greg Hackney. And then this show gets really bizarre because we welcome in the newest Elite Series champion, the only Elite Series champion to win a 4-day event in just 3 days, and that is Cory Johnston. Mix in a little bit of Chris Johnson. We even have a tiny touch of the masturbators until he runs away scared. This is a bizarre show, but a fun one. They all join me this week on...
I'm Bob Cobb from the Bassmaster. Welcome to Mercer.
Welcome one, welcome all, friends, family, freeloaders, fishing freaks, humpers. You're all welcome here at the Awkwardly Honest Fishing Podcast that goes by my last name, which is Mercer. This is the 158th edition of the Mercer Podcast, and happy hump day to all of you. This show will be a little more awkward and honest. I always tell you guys you never know what's going to happen on this show. Well, most of it happens this episode. First, we start off with Jake's take. Videographer from Bassmaster, friend of the show. You guys know him. Jake Latendresse joins the show and regales us with fine stories from the back deck of Rick Clunn's boat while he competes in his 500th Bassmaster event, the back deck of Greg Hackney's boat, and then this show gets different. I bring in the newest Elite Series champion, Cory Johnston. I thank him. This is the first time he's done a podcast since winning the event, and I thank him for that. But we go a lot of places. I mean, we're joined by Cory, his brother. Chris jumps on. We play some videos. We have some conversation, and hopefully we entertain you guys a little bit. This is going to be a fun one. So buckle up. Get your popcorn ready. Crack a beer. Enjoy this one. First of all, we'll start with Jake's take. Jake, we're back from another one.
Seems like another 2 or 3 or 4 or something. Seems
Yeah.
like we were traveling a lot, man.
Yeah.
Holy
And I mean,
crap.
I hardly even worked at this one.
Well, you got a couple of days rest anyway.
Yeah.
Dude, that whole Monday thing threw me off.
Yeah.
The delay on the Harris chain, because I flew home on Monday. I couldn't stay because I had my kids in Florida, like we talked about. So I had to get back, and I literally was home in time to do laundry and get a bite to eat. And then I turned around the next day and flew back to Florida.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
pretty wild. That's a lot of traveling.
I basically came home to make the podcast, see my family, and then I got back to Florida and got sick and sat in the Hampton like looking out at everybody. I couldn't even say hi to anyone. I was sick for 2 days.
Out? Did you have a back window?
Yeah.
Facing this?
Yeah. But it wasn't close enough that I could
wish
see
I
the
would've looked
venue. Like
up.
I could just see people when they were leaving the venue. And I just, it was horrible.
Were you on the 3rd floor?
Yeah. Yeah.
We must have been really close because I was looking right over like the forklift. That's where my window was. Yeah.
We might have been there. I was 307.
I was 304.
Hey, that's why people tune into this podcast. Hear the behind the scenes. Guess what our old hotel room numbers were?
I really like how Palatka set up. Everything's so conveniently.
yeah.
Like I don't go anywhere. I filled up my vehicle before I got back to the Daytona Beach airport, and it was like $6.
Yeah. I drove from, I drove a little further. I drove from Orlando to the venue, from the venue to urgent care for a while, back to the venue, then didn't drive at all until I left, like literally until I left that next, until Sunday. But it was a really cool event. I mean, 2 back-to-back great events in Florida. And obviously to see Cory win was really cool and stupid. I mean, it's just I forget what I said, but I said it wrong on stage because when I heard it back, I started laughing. And I meant that his win was odd. And I said something like, just like you win in odd fashion. But I meant like it sounded like I'm calling him odd, which he is kind of odd. But for a dude that has been so close and had
oh my goodness
boat issues, so close and had just weird things happen so many times, for him to win the way he did was really cool. I mean, he did not even need to fish the final day of competition, which is
unbelievable.
Pretty badass. I mean,
Totally.
yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't anywhere. I wasn't anywhere near him on any of the days. I have other than I was getting text messages from the other camera guys talking about the partying that was going
Oh,
on where they were fishing. I was like, I was with Rick Clunn, and of course we were out in
so
like
different.
in Buddha land, like nobody, literally nobody around. Didn't want anyone around, and I'm on comm going, hey, you think we could go down there?
Corey, Corey and Brian Evie are in at spring break, basically. Literally,
Exactly.
one
Exactly.
time during the show, I'm doing coverage and like you see boats pass and you see paddleboat or stuff. A dude just walked right through, like walked through, didn't swim through, like literally just came walking through. Like there's nothing to see here.
Wow. And he still got it done. I was
Yeah.
really happy for Corey. I mean, I don't know if he's ever doubted himself, but he's been so close enough to where it's like maybe he doubted himself at some point. Like, am I ever going to win one of these? But I'm pretty sure everyone around that knows anything about the Elite Series knew that that wasn't a matter of when or if, it was a matter of when.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's a tough guy.
He's an incredible angler. And he's an Elite Series champion. I mean, I I I don't think Corey's the kind of person to ever doubt himself, but I'm sure frustration is a good word because he's been so close. And dude, when you have a younger brother who just
Yeah.
seemingly everything just guess what, I won.
Yeah.
Like I literally was worried that something would happen on the final day where Chris would go
And
and try
beat
to stay off their stuff and
and just
a
hit a bunch of 9-pounders.
about 42 pounds. I don't know
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't think that, but I thought something similar like, God, what if Chris were to actually like Corey were to totally bomb and run out of fish and Chris would just find this mega load and beat him. Oh my goodness.
And what makes it worse is like, I mean, he hangs out with a lot of the people I hang out with, but like
Me
Lee
too.
Livesey and they're
Seth.
not nice friends. Like
Right.
they love
No.
each other, but they're not. They chirp a lot. Like if Corey, like whenever I said to anybody going into Sunday, I'm like, do you think he's gonna pull it off? They all like laughed, like he
Yeah.
better, because if he hadn't have, it wouldn't have been nice. But he did,
Oh,
and it was a cool tournament, and he's a cool champion. And I think, I mean, you say this about a lot of people, but I said, look out. Like I feel like he did feel a pressure to win. Not that he needed it on Sunday, any pressure at all. Um, but I just feel like he's going to be even more lethal now, which is scary. And the weird thing, and I said it on stage, said it a few times, dude, knowing them as long as I've known them, they were little kids when I met them the first time. And this is the Elite Series it's the best case scenario, in my opinion, of what the Elite Series is. They have seemingly never been challenged at any level. Like when they first started fishing tournaments with their dad, Lynn, they were just kids, little kids, and people were like, oh, well, Lynn's doing it all. Well, clearly Lynn wasn't doing it all. And at every level they went up, then they, started fishing by themselves, and they have taken people's lunch money from every single stop. And the only time in their career where they've ever been challenged seems to be the Elite Series, like where it's tough for them. So they're incredible natural talents, and
I
congrats,
think
Cory
I think
Johnston.
it's cool that you have known them since they were kids. Like we were just talking before we started recording, and Dave was telling me that he's been he lives in within 30-minute proximity of the Johnstons and Cooper Gallant and who else? Oh, the Johnston
Gussie.
brothers are Cooper. Oh, Gussie's way up. But yeah, you guys are
Gussie's
on the
far.
same proximity. And I got several messages on my Instagram, and one of the guys was a Canadian. I forget his handle on Instagram, but he said, "Dude, like those guys have been taking people's freaking lunch money
Oh,
since they were kids, and everyone up here scared of him. Like if he enters a tournament, they're all scared to death that they're just donors."
Yeah, there's dudes, no lie, that still to this day will avoid them. I don't need to out their names, but I know who you are. There is dudes that will call tournament officials from different tours and say, "Hey, are they fishing?" And the moment they're fishing, even at times like when they're not going to fish this tournament, they were just at an elite. Well, those knuckleheads drive through the night, make it back, and people get pissed. Like they're the kind of successful that people said they were cheaters. People, they went through all of that, and which is a weird part of fishing. If you're going to be
Yeah,
very good at it, people are going to call you a cheater at some point in your life. But they're
100%.
incredible
Yeah.
anglers, and
What were they like when they were kids?
they're just that. It's exactly who they are. Like they're just. You got Gussie, who's like super friendly, and he's everything nice about Canada, and they're just like these two bass catching idiots that you know what I mean? They're like they have not changed as people. They are literally the same. And you watch how Cory's kids are with him. It's exactly how I remember them being spazzes that just want to fish. Like Cory's son Jack, when we got together after the victory, he's like fishing nonstop on the little, the cut that they were staying on. And we were talking about him. He's like, that kid will fish for 12 hours and never, ever once be. But that's what Cory and Chris were. They're just outdoors. They were bred for this, but warned to not do it, basically. Like their dad, just like anybody's like, don't get into fishing, there's other easier ways to
Be
make
an
a living.
attorney. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they ever told Cory or Chris to be an attorney.
How about a hockey player?
But that they are very much who they have always been. They're laser focused competitors, and it's cool to see them challenged, and it's cool to see Cory overcome the way he did. And now he's the first Canadian to ever win an elite, while Canadians could actually come into the country. Because if you remember, Chris won, and there was nobody there. And then Gussie won, and we were allowed crowds, but it was no crowds from Canada because the border was still closed. So now they've won, and now Cooper Gallant all of a sudden becomes the only Canadian to not win an Elite Series event. Because
it's coming. It's coming.
I mean, that came up, and Cooper said, as soon as I found out that Cory was going to win, like as soon as I realized weight wise, he's like, one of the first things I thought of is like, oh, Mercer's going to introduce me as the only Canadian to never win an elite.
And you will.
I mean, I kind of have to, don't I? I mean, that'd be bullying Cory.
I'm not saying not to. I just know you.
Well, I mean, they're all looking forward to hearing it, so I don't want to let them down. But a great tournament, great event, and from what I saw of it, was very entertaining. I didn't see a lot the first couple of days.
Such a different place. I mean, there's so many different things going on the different lakes, in the different regions, and they're so far apart. And they're on bedding fish, and we're out casting mini Ichikawa crankbaits in the wood, and that was probably the most intellectually stimulating tournament or pairings that I've ever been a part of, because I had Rick Clunn for day 1 and day 2, and I can't even tell you what it meant to be in his boat for his the first day and second day of his 500th tournament in 50 years of fishing. I mean, he was overwhelmed, and I'm not telling, you anything you don't already know, but he was completely overwhelmed. And he told me before we took off on day 1 that was the most pressure that he can ever recall feeling before a tournament start.
Wow.
Which is the irony of the whole thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He, for him to feel that is amazing, but it shows how much respect he has for the sport, and how big a deal was made out of it. Like it is a big deal. It's
a huge deal.
It's huge. I mean, it may never happen again. Like if you think of Trey McKinney has to fish just in years, not in number of events, but he's 19. He's to fish for another 49 years to
get there.
get there. And that might not be the same amount of events, like because we're only fishing 9 events a year now, plus the classic. And Clunn put up some crazy numbers. And so that first morning I wake up feeling like absolute dog crap. And and I never am that kind of sick, but I knew it, like, I mean, I saw you in the morning and I was like, I'm everybody come up to say hi. And I'm like, don't get near me.
I'll put my hand on your shoulder and you're like, dude, I'm sick. And I went, oh crap. And I went straight to the shitter and washed my hands. I'm like, I do not want to get sick. I don't have time for that right now.
Well, I love that. How people, like, when you're sick, they show a little bit of concern for you, but a lot for themselves. Like, you see people like,
you did not just get me sick.
I hope you feel better. I just really hope, and they're backing away from you.
The COVID effect.
But when I felt bad enough that I wouldn't, like, I honestly, if it wasn't Rick Clunn's, that's the only reason I said that several times. I said, if it wasn't Rick Clunn's 500th takeoff, there's no way I'd be here. Well, I went to take off and immediately left, felt worse, went to urgent care, and
golly,
I'm better now. Just a little tired. Yeah.
And I know you hate this kind of stuff, but we missed you, man. When you're not on stage, Dave, it is a different atmosphere. And I'm telling you, everyone was talking about it. We missed you, buddy.
Well, thank you. And I thank Chris Bowes for covering for me for a couple of days. I really do appreciate that. But I'll be honest, I'm so weird with that stuff that, like, I don't know whether I hate missing it more, or when I came back on day 3, I had to, and it's so nice. Like, if you showed up and nobody said anything, you'd be like, what the hell? Did nobody notice I was sick? But I'm also like so uncomfortable with how you feeling? You okay? You know what I mean? I know. I'm quit socially awkward at times.
I thought I was bugging you.
No, to be honest, dude, you weren't bugging. Nobody was bugging me, but I was KO'd. Like, I literally, when I say I didn't watch any of the first day, basically, and very little of the second day, just because I was passed out the whole time. That's the kind of sick I was. So, anyways, I mean, enough about me. I mean, I just told you I'm uncomfortable about it, and then I continue to talk about it. And I do have to apologize, because that first morning, I'm leaving the dock after takeoff, and I'm kind of getting out of there quick because I'm sick, and I honestly don't want to get anyone sick. But then there's spectators that had attended, and thankfully they're humpers. Thank God. They listen to the podcast and like, hey, can I have a selfie, and different things. And I'm trying to not like shake anyone's hand. I'm just posing for pictures on my way down the dock. And this one gentleman like puts his hand out and like basically grabs my hand and shakes it and everything. And I just felt like after I got to my room, I'm like, he's going to think I'm a dick. He has no idea that I was sick. And then I am a dick. I'm sorry, but I wasn't being a dick at that time. So, if I was short with you, it was only because I cared. But he probably hates me now and doesn't listen to this podcast ever again.
I doubt that.
So I was there when Rick Clunn got introduced, obviously. He leaves, and then I check out. Tell me about, I'm going to shut up, and I just want to hear from you, because you wanted to be paired with him. You were, and I imagine it's probably one of the best memories you have.
I'll ever. It was like, I mean, someone said it before. I think maybe Zona coined this a while back. It was like being with Babe Ruth or something.
Yeah.
Where in real life, and I've known, we've all known Rick for however many years we've been on the tour, and yet that day it was just different. It was like being with somebody else.
Yeah.
Someone bigger than life, bigger than, anyone I know in the fishing industry, and watching people like Scott Martin come up and shake his hand, have a conversation at the dock with him about him and his dad and how much appreciation he showed to him. That was one thing. Watching Polinick come up like a little kid to take a picture with Rick Clunn, it was like a kid coming up asking for an autograph. Yeah. And I just thought, scenes like that were really things that really stick out in my mind about how it was at the dock. And he was, he was in one of the first slips right there by the the big houseboat, and people, it was like an ant farm. People were around him. They just wanted to see him. They just wanted to look at him. Like when Muhammad Ali walks in the room, or Michael Jordan or something, that's how it felt. And it's not, I mean, not, people obviously have a ton of respect for Rick Clunn, but that day it was bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. A cool side note to that. You mentioned Polnick. I saw Polnick posted that picture, a great picture of them two together. And then Clunn, being Clunn, posted, either reposted or commented on it. You are the angler that I wish I was at your age. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Like,
What a
because
compliment.
Polnick does have a very Clunn-esque vibe, the way he thinks outside of the box and everything, which I've always loved. But for Clunn to take the time to post that when we're celebrating him just proves why we're celebrating him.
And when you read that repost or that comment in the copy, you go, exactly. You know what I mean? Because Polinick is that guy. I mean, he's got the right attitude, and he does everything for the right reasons. And, perhaps, he's taken a lot of that from Rick Clunn, and reading about him and watching him over the years and understanding what it takes to be that great, right? And not, you can be a great angler and still not be that kind of a human being. But when you couple those two things together and you come out with, you get the Rick Clunn of the world, like this is the ultimate professional bass fisherman. No one's ever done anything
Yeah.
like this. I mean, it really is unbelievable. I mean, I was, I was doing my best to stay out of the way
Yeah.
because I had to do my job, but I also stepped aside and didn't I was trying not to stick the camera in his face constantly because I could tell he was a little rattled. I could just tell by the way, he looked down and he was trying to put things away and making sure everything was organized. You could tell he was a bit nervous. So I felt like it was my duty to shoot my interview, take some, cutaway shots for the show, and take off and all that, and then just stay the hell out of his way.
Yeah. I didn't see him that morning, and intentionally. I mean, I was sick. Number
Yeah.
one, I mean, I didn't want to, but he was sick. So there's a good chance he gave that to me, just to be honest. I'm just going to throw it out there, but I don't mind getting sick from Rick Clunn. I'm just not getting Rick Clunn sick. But plus, it was also because of that. Like, just, I knew what was going on. I had talked to him and Melissa, and I knew kind of where his head was, and I didn't want to pile on because, like, every
Yeah.
picture I saw, there was a lineup. It was like a press junket, like every media source waiting to speak to him. Um, Before we
Everybody.
get into your whole experience with him, let me point out the loser that I am. I am the world's biggest loser. And I'll tell you why. So I'm excited about this event. Obviously, it's Rick Clunn's 500. So I go and I get myself some hats made that say RC 500 on them. I thought, oh, this will be great. I didn't even see him. I didn't even see Rick the whole week. I mean, we texted back and forth before, after the event and everything. Never ever once saw him. So I got these hats printed, and and then I stayed up in my room looking at everybody. But what I'm
Oh
gonna
man.
do is I'm gonna see if Rick will sign the ones that I have left, and then we'll do some fine stuff for our viewers because
There you go.
that. So just because my tribute wasn't seen doesn't mean it wasn't a tribute. Just means I'm a loser.
Well, and it's not like that's his last tournament ever,
No, I just want, it was his
I'm just saying.
500s, right?
Yeah, yeah,
RC
yeah,
5.
yeah.
Yeah, but you can't
Sure.
wear RC 500 and RC 501, dude. I mean,
I
it's the
mean,
last time you could wear these.
I would wear that if I had one of those. I would wear it. I
Well,
would
you'll
wear
have
it
to
for the
sign up
rest
for
of the
whatever
season.
kind of
I'm
contest we.
going to. I'm going to. I'm going to tag you on all of them.
Please do. Please do. Uh,
Uh,
so I'll shut up. Go
was
ahead.
one other thing I wanted to say before we left the dock. Something we talk about is 500 and how massive that number is over the number of years that he fished. But let me throw this out there. This is what Rick told me when everybody sort of, you know, walked away from his boat, and everyone's starting to back out into the uh water, away from the dock to line up. He goes, it's funny because I fished 500, but those are BASS events.
Yeah.
But we tried to figure it out, and I've probably fished over 1,500 tournaments in my life.
Oh,
1,500. That's 3 times more than what he's fished just at bass. He's like, I just all I wanted to do was fish tournaments. He's like, I've never been a flashy guy. I've never wanted the attention or anything. I'm just really competitive and I wanted to fish tournaments. And I feel like I was born to fish tournaments. So that's what I did. And every tournament that I could sign up for, I signed up for it and fished it.
wow.
1,500.
Wow.
1,500.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild. I mean, I knew there was a lot more, but you'd never think it's 1,000 more. But yeah, like, I mean, you think of he's including a Tuesday night tournament that he would fish, whatever tournaments he would fish. But wow, that's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. So then we want to go to takeoff.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's why I keep shutting up for you.
Well, once we took off, I mean, I think it was really about like I was in the moment. Like I was telling myself on the boat ride, absorb all this. You get to do this. You asked and you got it. You get to do this. So absorb all of this because A, you're the only person that gets to do this, and B, this is something that'll last forever. Don't take this for granted. You know, this is something that that will last me a lifetime in terms of memory. So first thing I do is when I put my big camera down because we're running, I pull my phone out and I just start videoing the boat ride out because I don't know if anyone has a boat ride of Rick Clunn from the passenger seat out to where he's going. And so I shot almost the whole thing and I thought it was really cool. And I didn't know if I was bugging him or not. But the one thing about Rick Clunn that some people know, a lot of people probably don't know, is that I don't know how he was in 1974 when he fished his first BASS tournament. But I know how he was in 2024 when he fished his 500th, and he's ultra competitive,
Oh yeah.
like ultra. Oh, I've been with him before, but I didn't see that. I didn't see it. I didn't honestly didn't feel it coming. I thought we were going to get out there. He's going to get in his space, and then it was just literally just going to kind of be a day of fishing. But holy crap, is he competitive? I mean, he is ultra focused and while he may not be as fast to get up from his driver's seat to the trolling motor and to bend over to pick up a rod and get it going, he still like when he still casts right where he is aiming. Like his casting accuracy was something that really stood out to me, being as old as he is and having done it as long as he did. And what's even more trippy about that was how accurate he was on his first cast, but more impressively, how accurate he was on his last cast of the day because he casted so many times. He was throwing jerk baits and mostly throwing those little Ichikawa tiny those little crankbaits that are
Yeah.
he's so well known for. And it was just I don't know, man. I just sat there. I was quiet. We didn't say much. We probably didn't say 50 words in in totality of the 2 days from when we
Really?
got it was I'm telling you, it was just quiet because he's laser focused. I did ask him one time, you get a kick out of this. I said, "Hey Rick, can I ask you a question?" He goes, "No." And I said, "Okie dokie."
I love that about him.
I do too.
I
And
mean, any other human on earth would be like, even if they don't want you to ask the question, they'd be like, all right, go ahead. Not Rick. Nope.
he said no. And I actually I loved it. I thought it
Yeah.
was like the best answer he could possibly give instead of just saying okay, allow me to ask him a question. He said no. And then but it was
So let me ask you this: after you asked him if he would answer, if you could ask him a question, he said no. When did you next communicate with him?
Like 3 hours later.
He just slinked behind the camera.
I didn't, when he said, okay, we're moving, I wouldn't even say like, how far we're going or anything. I just sat down and kept my mouth shut. I felt like a little kid. I felt like a little kid in in the boat with my dad when we would go fishing when I was a little boy, because if I got if I got bored or restless, my dad would turn around and tell me to shut up and be quiet and sit down. And I not that he would say anything like that, but that's just how I felt, and I felt there was so much respect and so much honor there that I like I said, man, it wasn't just me physically staying out of the way. It was my mouth and my camera staying out of the way. And I'll tell you this, everyone, Mike McKinnis called the show, right? And the first 2 days anyway. And
Yeah, all week, I
they,
think.
yeah, Breedlove came in and called part of it
Okay.
on day 4. But anyway, so and for those of you who don't know, Mike McKinnis is our head director, and when he's
Bass
directing,
Fishing Hall of Famer this year.
that's right, and that's all you need to say right there. He's
Yeah, huge
he's our
Kansas City
director.
Chiefs fan. All around good guy.
All around great guy, the
And so
son
is
of
Mike
Jerry
Breedlove,
McKinnis.
because those guys get insulted when I
Absolutely.
don't say nice things about them. Mike Breedlove is a great human being. Michael
Oh my
Middleton, all
goodness.
of them. Love every
All
one
of
of
them.
them.
All of them. And but they must know. I mean, I'm sure they do because they've covered him so many times. But like when they called my camera live, like I'm live one, and when the director calls, okay, live one, you're live, or Jake, you're live. Usually, usually I initiate an update or a conversation. How's it going? How are you feeling? What are you doing? How are you catching these fish or whatever? How are these conditions changing? And on these occasions, I didn't say anything. I just said, "Okay, Rick, you're live." And then I would just and they knew. No one ever asked me to ask him a question, because I guess I didn't ask him, but I'm assuming that they knew that he didn't want to talk. He just wants to fish.
Well, remember, Mike's father, Jerry McKinnis.
Yeah,
Jerry
yeah,
McKinnis and Rick Clunn were very, very close
extremely.
friends, like
Yes.
incredibly close friends.
Yeah.
I would say that on Jerry's end, it's Rick and Forrest Wood were his two closest friends, that I always heard him talk about. So Mike also probably has a very different relationship with Rick. It's not just another angler, I mean, we all do. I mean, Rick's Rick. There's an aura about him. He's,
Yeah. Yeah.
anyways. Go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, I just stayed out of the way. And every time, I noticed all the little details about Rick Clunn, and being quiet really allowed me really to pay more attention
Mm-hmm.
to what was going on, because I didn't have to say anything. So I'm like watching his footwork. I'm watching how he ties his knots. I'm watching how he puts bass in the box and take them out and cull. Like I'm paying attention to everything. And then I started thinking that everyone does that when they're, especially on this occasion at Palatka this year. Like we're in the lock the first time on day 1 that morning, and he pulls out a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and the two people beside us, I think it was Bob Downey and, oh my God, he's gonna kill me for not remembering. I can't remember who was tied up next to us, but they're like, "Hey, what kind of sandwich is that?" Like
He
everybody's,
eats.
yeah,
Look at him. He actually
yeah.
eats.
They're
I
like,
thought
"Hey,
he just
does
absorbed
he go to the
nutrients from
bathroom
the
too?"
air.
Exactly. Exactly. But the little things that, he did say, and I never really responded in the boat, were things like, you know, Melissa really wants me to stay hydrated today because it's hot out. So he would put his rod down and walk back, sit down, open the cooler, get he drank blue Powerade, for those of you that want to know, and water, and he stayed hydrated. He looks after himself, and manages his energy and his spirit as much as he manages his fishing. And I thought that was really important to note because at his age, and it's 90, I think at one time it was like 93 or 94
It was
degrees with
hot
no wind. It
and
was freaking
humid.
hot, dude. Yeah, tell me. And and he managed himself. He, when the sun came out, he put his big sun hat on with his cape, and I was just really impressed. I love Rick Clunn. Rick, if you ever watch this and hear it, that was an incredible experience. I know you don't look at it that way, but I really appreciate, both having spent both days with you in the boat, and I will never ever forget it. Thank you. That was a great experience.
Yeah, incredible. I could only imagine what it was like. I mean, it's not often I'm jealous of you, but I was a little jealous. I mean, that not. I mean, I think.
I
I mean, we're.
understand. I
But you know what I
understand.
mean? Like, I remember thinking, like, when I told you I was passed out those whole 2 days of the first 2 days. When I was coherent, I was. I thought, like, man, Jake's out there being part of, and I think you did the right thing. You know, the world needs a little bit more shut up sometimes. And coming
I
from somebody
agree.
who talks for a living, that's probably sounds like stupid advice, but it really to be around Rick. I mean, it's like the segments I do with him. Like, I honestly just try to go in a direction and Rick takes it in whatever direction he wants. And if I were to like constantly be stopping him and being like, but tell me about this, but tell me, I would be robbing myself and any of the viewers of some of the most amazing stuff he says in those segments, because when you're around somebody like Rick, you just let it happen.
It's like
And
Winston Churchill's speaking or something. It's like everything he says is a quote, and because he says it with so much wisdom, and he knows like people are listening. So when he answers a question, he always addresses it like it's a lesson to you. Like, I've been through this, and this is my advice, and or this is how this should be done. And even, guys that were following us around. I mean, he's out there. He was basically across the channel from where John Cruz won the tournament last year when he won it.
okay.
And he's just fishing logs. And I don't know if y'all know this or not, but Rick Clunn's got a 22-inch MBT marine screen on his
Oh
Garmin
yeah.
live scope, and it's mounted on the front of the boat, and he's got it on. I did squeeze a question, and I go, "Are you watching your live scope, or are you just fan casting?" He was like, "No, I'm looking for logs, but I'm not really looking for fish." And he goes, "I've noticed that the fish I'm catching aren't really uh, associated to the wood that's sticking up out of the water that's obvious." And he goes, "That's probably because those are the logs that everyone casts
Cast
to."
to.
And he said, "So I'm looking for wood underwater that no one can see, and that's probably where I'm catching all my fish." And I was like, "Oh my God, let me write that down." But that's what I mean. 50 years and 1,500 bass tournaments worth of experience. Those are the kinds of things that he just says that makes all the sense in the world to him. I mean, it doesn't even phase him. That's just common conversation to him. But to people like me, or anyone else that maybe were in his boat, would have thought, I probably would not have thought of that immediately. Maybe I would have picked up on that later, but that's what he was looking for. Looking
Yeah.
for things that no one else does.
I feel like I feel so lucky to have got as close with him as I've been able to get with him over the last, year. I mean, I've known him for a long time now, but we've increasingly got closer and closer, and this past year even more so. But I feel like, when you say only he can answer this, but when you say when he answers things, it feels like a lesson. I don't know if that's his intent, whether it is or isn't, and I don't think it's bad either way. But I honestly feel like conversations with him are almost more pure in the way that I think most people, when you ask a question, it's human nature for people to answer honestly, but they also quite often, especially in the settings we're asking them, whether it be a podcast, whether it be on live, I feel like a lot of times they're answering with the direction they think you want to go.
I
Where
agree.
Rick removes all of that, just
like a kid, like
can
a
I
little
ask you a
kid.
question? No.
Right.
Like there's
He didn't
no
mean to be rude. He was just saying
no.
no.
He's not,
just,
and he's
no,
not being rude. He's just
no.
it's a pure conversation where there's no filter of all that stuff, where most people are trying to. He's just a special person.
I just relived that moment when he said no. I know I probably recorded that. It's probably on that media card.
I know
And it's
exactly how
just
it went because the last time he was on this podcast, I asked him a question. He had a similar answer, and I know exactly how you.
you know how I felt. Like, well, I guess I can't move on to the next question because I can't ask a question.
No, he is a blessing
What an
for all of us.
incredible, like you just said, what an incredible blessing it is to still have him on tour around us. Oh my goodness. Unbelievable.
Very, very cool event for him, and congratulations, Rick Clunn. He'll be on here in a few weeks' time, and we'll talk about that. I'm going to ask him about telling you.
Please do. And people don't these little things that people probably don't know. There's a few nuggets still left to be said. And he doesn't run his boat with a hot shoe. He runs it with a
With a
hand
hot foot.
throttle. I'm a hot foot, I'm sorry. He still runs the old school uh hand throttle lever.
Mm-hmm.
And he runs his boat. Like he drives his boat. He slows down when we get into big wakes like most people probably should.
Yeah.
Greg Hackney does not. and but Rick, when we took off and we were on smooth water, he was running 68 miles an hour. And I just thought I looked over at his screen to see how fast we were going because I wanted to be able to say, dude, I'm doing 70 miles an hour with Rick Clunn.
Well, he's an incredible man. That sounds like an incredible experience. Any more Clunn stuff? Or we?
God, I'm trying to think. There were the camera guys and the boats that were following him around.
Was there a
He's
bunch?
like, yeah, on day one there were Shane Durant's was in the camera boat, and he was like, he directed everybody. He was like, you keep your boat over there. Don't come within 30 yards of any of that wood, because I'm going to circle back around and fish all that again. And then he just turned around and started casting. So Shane and his boat driver, they went over to the channel buoy pole and just tied up and just stayed in one place. And I know he was getting shots at like 400 yards away because he didn't. He was paying him the same amount of respect that we all were. And there was one kid that was following around in a boat, and the kid didn't know, and I kind of felt bad for him. Rick never said one word to him because he was far enough away, but he was literally like, there was one log that had a big green head of fresh vegetation growing on the top of it, right? And I think Rick caught two fish off of that log, knowing he was going to go give it time to rest, turn around and come back and at least make another cast or two across it. And that guy literally, like, I don't know if he's pulled down, but he was literally parked on that log. And I saw Rick turn around and look at him and go, and then just turn around and shake his head. And I went, God, I wish I knew who that was, because I would text him and just go, dude, you need to move.
You mentioned Durant's. Shane posted something this week, and it made me think of it as soon as you said it. He said about how you never know what Rick's going to answer a question, right? And he said, I asked Mr. Clunn this morning, how close can we get when covering you? Mr. Clunn's response, if I can hear you breathe or fart, you're too close.
Yep. He said that exact words too. But it was more like, if I can hear you breathe or fart, you're too close. And then there were literally some people and I'm not making him out to sound like a bad guy at all.
No.
He's just focused, right? And I don't want it to come across that way because it's not how it was at all. But there were some guys that were talking, and they weren't camera guys or media or anybody. They were just like fans watching. He's like, I can hear you talking, man. That means you're too close. And dude, they shut up. I mean, yeah, it was like
Silence.
Yeshua speaks. So my
Oh,
comparison was, moving into when day two was over, and I knew he only had like 9, maybe 10 pounds, knowing he's not going to make the cut. I had like a hole in my heart. Like I wanted this to last at least 3 days. I
yeah.
really wanted. I prayed. I literally. There were times when he wasn't looking. He never hardly looked at me at all. But I'd close my eyes and I literally would say, please God, please let him catch a 7 pounder. Like I was praying so hard for him to just come across a 7 pounder because he kept saying, they're out here, they live out here, and I know they're here. And I just have to run into one of them. And I just so badly wanted to be able to film him catch a giant on this occasion. And when the day two was over, I'll be honest with you, I was bummed. I felt like, dang, I don't want this to be over yet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I could imagine that feeling. I mean, I felt it the same while I was in the hotel room thinking, I mean, I have my hats.
yeah.
Got to wear them in front of Rick once.
Well, you did
Uh,
post it. You posted a picture of it.
yeah, yeah, I did. I did. I mean,
Uh,
somebody needed to see the hat sooner or later. Um,
like I got to get this hat out here somehow.
well, no, it was actually the hat that I was wearing. It was the
I,
Bass logo on it. So I was just, I mean, it was getting lots of messages from people. Like, thank God. Like, when you do get ill at an event, a lot of people notice you're missing, and I'm thankful for all of it. So I did just want to make a post that said it sucks not to be there, but I'll be there. I don't know what I said. I don't even remember making the post, to be honest, but I do know it caused quite a stirring.
I mean, in coupling to that, Dave, I'm going to plug this for Rick and Melissa. If you guys like, he's got those 50-year
Yeah.
anniversary hoodies. I just ordered one myself, and you have to order them from the printer right now because they sold out of them. But you better get them because they're not going to last forever. And it's one of those things that I felt like when they first came out, I said, okay, I'm going to order one. And then I just I don't know what I was doing at the
Yeah.
time, but I forgot about it. And then when I saw Melissa wearing that shirt at the dock day one, I was like, oh, dude, I got to get one. So I go to their website, and they don't have the one with the shield logo on it anymore. And so I texted Melissa and I said, how do I get one of those hoodies? Because I really want one. She said that you can still get them from the printer. They just don't have them directly through the Cluns now. So I'm telling you guys, what I felt like was if I don't order one now, then I'm going to miss out on something, and it's going to be something that I regret not having years down the road when when this is all over. So go get you some Rick Clunn hoodies. They're cool.
And another reason to go to an Elite Series event live is that I believe for the rest of the season, Melissa's traveling with Rick, and Rick,
Yep.
one of the coolest things I've got to see from the stage is, Rick's always been very elusive. He does
Yep.
this, I mean, because
He's
he's not
out.
comfortable with it, not because,
Right.
I mean, he didn't want to celebrate that. It was Melissa
He
that kind of
didn't.
pushed him to say, hey, you need to celebrate this. And thank God she did.
Right.
But Rick was more comfortable with just, I'll show up and I'll fish my tournaments. Um, but he's spending time in a booth after he weighs in now, and you just see this big lineup of people waiting to meet Rick Clunn, all ages of people. So if you are coming to an Elite Series event this year, make sure to check that out, because it's anytime I spend with Rick Clunn is literally I leave there feeling richer, and
Same.
it's special.
It is.
So after 2 days of competition, unfortunately, Rick Clunn, Florida Swing was a good one. I mean, he finished 20th in Toledo Bend and just outside of the cut on the St. Johns River. But then you found yourself with Greg Hackney, which makes so much sense in so many different ways.
it really just kind of, it flowed from Rick Clunn into Greg Hackney like it should. And it was like an extension of Rick Clunn because, and Greg will validate this. And
Mm-hmm.
we talked about it. He's made, you know, mention, more than mention it on Rick Clunn's episode of the cast. He did a studio segment after the cast show and talked about how Rick Clunn is the reason why he wanted to be a professional bass fisherman. And when I got in his boat on the morning on day 3, the first thing I talked about was, dude, I just left, 2 days with Rick Clunn, and now I'm in your boat. And I feel like I need to ask you some questions about this because, I watched, let me tell you this, before I got in Rick, before I went down to the dock on day 1, we were supposed to meet or we supposed to be at the camera trailer at 6 a.m. for a 7 a.m. takeoff, which means I usually wake up around 5, an hour before I'm supposed to be at the camera trailer. And instead, on Thursday morning, I set my alarm for 4 a.m. and I woke up and I watched the entire Rick Clunn episode of the cast so that I would know what questions to ask when I got on his boat, which I never got to do. But I did. I learned, and that was the second time I'd seen his episode because I've watched all the cast
Yeah.
episodes so far. But I really just wanted to understand truly what I was getting myself into on day 1. And so after the show was over, like I said, um, uh, Hackney did a segment all about, Rick Clunn, and he talked about how much he meant to him when he was younger, how much he looked up to him. And one of his famous quotes that Hackney said is, I wanted to beat KVD, but I wanted to be Rick Clunn. And I
Epic
thought,
line.
oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's worthy of like Wikipedia quotes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Very
so
cool.
we talked a lot about it, at the dock and even out on the water and how much it meant to him. And I said, what were the things, like what were the little details that you picked up from Rick Clunn that you implemented or integrated into your fishing style? And he said, first thing he said was how to be a professional and how to take things seriously. And and then, when you look at Greg Hackney, that's who he is. He is a much more talkative and uh personable, probably is the right word, on the boat. And I've been with Greg several times. He's one of my all-time favorite guys to be in the boat with because he explains things so well and he goes into this like my quote about my experience with both of those anglers was I felt like I just spent 2 days with Yoda in a Buddhist temple, and then I transitioned over to Robin Williams's character in Good Will Hunting. And it was like fishing therapy when you get in the boat with Greg Hackney. Um, an amazing angler, and all the things that all you fans look up to Greg Hackney for are exactly like spot on because he is the ultimate professional. He's obviously his numbers and his records have speak for themselves. But at the end of the day, when you get in the boat with him, he's just so knowledgeable on a completely different level. Even Jason Christie, and Jason has said this to me a couple of times. He's like, man, I don't know what it is about Greg Hackney, but I don't even want to fish with him. I just want to get in the boat and go spend a day with him as a marshal or a passenger in his boat. And he asked me at the dock, Jason did, this is no lie. He said, man, help me think of something that I can do to trade Greg for a fishing trip. And I said, here, he goes, and he said, I think if I hung out with Greg Hackney, we would get along like really well. And I said, because Greg had talked about going tarpon fishing with Kobe Krieger down in the Keys, and which he talked about that being one of the greatest, like one of his favorite fishing experiences ever is catching tarpon on top water.
Yeah.
And And I said, Jason, why don't you trade him a bow hunt for big deer in Kansas, and maybe he could trade you a tarpon fishing trip in Florida or something like that. He goes, and this is Jason Christie, all right? He says, hey, just tell him that, like, will you mention that to him today? And if that doesn't tell you about the kind of respect that Greg Hackney has, accumulated from his peers, I don't know what does. So I get in the boat. We're not even left the dock yet. And I go, hey man, Christy just asked me to ask you if you guys could hang out. And I said, y'all need to hang out. And he goes, you know what? You know what I mean? I've thought about that before. And I think he and I would get along really well. So Jason, Greg, y'all need to get together.
I'm blown away because I mean I had dinner with them both last year and they got along great. But I guess you know what I
They
mean.
do.
Everything's a group, but there's that, like just be friends. I mean,
I think they want to hang out with each other to learn from each other and to gain something from each other and to build on their relationship because they've been competitors, hard, intimidating competitors for years. And I think it's coming out to where they want to, like, I could see myself hanging out with that dude, and so could I. That was the vibe that I got from both of them. So that was pretty cool to watch.
very cool, very cool. Hackney's love affair um Clunn. I mean, he's always said it started at that classic, Pine
Yeah.
Bluff, Arkansas. He would watch like it's
When
the
he,
same story, and I think
Mhm.
Clunn says his love affair with Bassmaster started watching Jack Chancellor win a classic. That's what's so cool. We've done several videos to that extent over the years talking about that, but that is what's cool about like all of the anglers are connected. And the difference is Rick Clunn's not fishing against the guy that inspired him anymore.
Right,
Greg
right.
Hackney is, which is so rare and so cool. So you were with him the final 2 days, right?
Yep. Throwing mostly um, a multi-bladed spinnerbait
4 blade
and
spinnerbait, yeah.
four-blade spinnerbait, looking like a school of shad. The shad spawn was on where he found. And I would say that was one of the top five maybe top three most beautiful places I've ever been
Yeah.
to where someone was catching bass. And I told Greg when we got there, I said, dude, I tell people this all the time. The thing you notice about Greg, wherever he's fishing, he's like in the jungle and he's fishing away from everyone else. And wherever he's fishing, it is absolutely stunningly beautiful.
Yeah.
Like even on Pickwick, I was with him on Pickwick one time and I remember taking a picture where the light was coming through these trees. We were in this little pocket in the woods. And I remember looking around going, I mean, this is just beautiful. And if you remember the clip from that event, we came out of that little cove where I was just blown away by the beauty of the scenery, and we come around and there's a blowdown in the channel, and he cast like literally, I don't remember how many. We'd have to go back and look at the clip, but he literally picked picked it apart like this, casted a thunder cricket in there, and it casted probably 10 times. And he goes, now I know there's a 5 pounder in there. I know there is. And he casted one more time in there and frick, boom, hooked up in when it was a 5 pounder. And that was the clip where he held it up and he goes, stand down. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah. It's hard not
Yeah.
to remember that one. He dropped a few stand downs this week
Yeah.
too, didn't he?
He did. He
He
did.
did.
We talked. Yeah. I said,
That
that deserves a stand down. He said, stand down.
that beauty, that beauty thing is weird because he mentioned that to me on Sunday when we were talking before, no boats are even in the water at this time. And he said he thinks it helps. Like he does great at St. John's River. He's always in different areas. He said he doesn't really pay attention to the tide where people try to chase a tide window. He's just like, he knows there's going to be good times and bad times in his area, but he stays in an area. And he said, I think the beauty of this body of water keeps me engaged. He says, I'm part, and I feel like I'm
I,
part of nature, which
I,
is
I
again
think that is so
awesome.
true. I think that's so true because just the way he acts when he's in that scenery and that setting. He's having fun, and he knows, ironically, what you just said was he doesn't pay attention to the tide, but this time he had to a little bit because of the shad spawn, because in the mornings the tide was coming out, and it's a very small tide fluctuation up, where we were in Lake Crescent, and and he knew that once the tide was done, the shad were out of there, and he couldn't figure out where the hell they were going, because he couldn't figure out where the bass were going. He's like, they're going somewhere, and he'd continue fishing uh, cypress stumps and knees, or trees and knees, and the bass just disappeared. So he starts looking for birds. And, we always say the white birds lie and the dark birds don't. But I think on that lake, the white birds are actually the not the egrets. They're great white herons that are, as big as the great blue herons, and they feed the same way. And so I think none of those birds lie. So he started running the bank with his big motor, looking for birds, using that as a biological indicator on where to start. And he's just so smart. He's like that, that middle-aged Rick Clunn smart, and he's got that wisdom about him. And he notices, I mean, there's an eagle, like, a bald eagle in this tree, and he's coming down, um, and literally swooping down at the water, and like he's diving down, but he's not catching a fish. And he goes back up to the tree, and then 2 minutes later he comes out, he's hovering, and then he dives down again, and he misses the fish. And Rick finally, he goes over there. He's like, see that slick spot on the water, and there's a little chop on the water. He said, see that slick spot? That's usually made by oil from schools of bait of shad, the oil off of their bodies.
Wow.
He's like,
Yeah, while they're getting
that's
hammered.
where and that eagle keeps going down on that slick spot, and I know that's what he's going after. So he went out there and started fishing. That's the kind of mentality that he's got, and those are the little clues. If he's not getting a clue from the fish, he's getting clues from the environment. And like you
Yeah.
said, that's why he goes to those areas. And I told him and Jason, I've told them both before on different occasions, like, you guys must think alike, because I know y'all don't follow each other because you don't have those kinds of personalities, but you always, like, when I'm with Jason, I always see Hackney. When I'm with Hackney, I always see Jason. And I think they just think very, very much alike. And of course, they like to cast in shallow water and throw spinner baits and little crankbaits, and doing whatever they can inside these micro environments
Yeah.
to try to make this where the life is.
Yeah. Both big hunters. Like, I mean, there's a lot of hunters
Yeah,
on tour, but they're
yeah.
natural, like real. And I think the thing that gets kind of overlooked with both of them, spinnerbait, jig anglers and stuff, is the precision. Like you said, when Hackney's fishing that cypress knee, I mean, most people are just fire to one side, maybe fire to the middle, and fire to the other side. Like, they pick it apart like a surgeon, basically.
100%. They know, and neither of them are afraid to make the same cast 8 or 10 times. If they know that's a high percentage spot, and they know, they're thinking there's a really smart fish in there, and I'm going to outsmart him. And they'll just keep casting until the fish finally and you're just like, oh my God, I would have left. I would be 100 yards up that way, because I would have walked away from that tree after 3 or 4 casts.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is a trip. He's a trip. He is so much fun, and he's so full of wisdom. He's so full of quotes. He never misses a beat. I mean, I went back. When I'm with Greg, I always I always burn more media cards than I do with most people. I do with Jason too, because they have that. If he makes 10 casts and finally catches a 3 or 4 or 5 pounder off of a spot that he's casted to over and over again, then I feel like as a field producer, it's my job to get every cast in,
The lead up.
opposed to just that one cast before he got to it, because that's not the whole story. The whole story was he knew there was a fish there and he kept making casts until he caught it. And Jason's the same way. I don't know if you remember on Santee Cooper after he
After the
won the
classic.
classic, when he was flipping those
Frog.
frogs back, the same deal, dude. Same freaking deal. He goes, I remember when he caught that 5-pounder, when he said, finally, he finally got a fish in the freaking boat. And it was like 11 o'clock in the morning. And he just had it in his head. He's like, I know they're here and I'm going to find them. And the stubbornness, or the old quote that Jason always says, and I think even Hackney said it a time or two, I want to do this my way. I'm not going to change what I'm thinking, because I know these fish are here and I've done that before and I've screwed myself out of a good situation, not standing on what I truly believe in.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to get into forward facing sonar debates. Not that we would. But that's the biggest part of it that I dislike. I dislike how, like, to me, it's almost mystic to watch a Greg Hackney and a Jason Christie. And congrats to Jason, 2 great Florida events.
Unbelievable.
Both
Two
top
top
tens.
tens.
And Brad Watley,
And worked his way up. Both
yeah.
Brad Watley too. They went from like 90th or 65th and jumped back into the top 10. Like, they crushed it, dude.
Yeah. But it's mystical to watch those guys and they just know. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like when people heard Christie say finally, they think it's more about the results. Finally, I caught one. No, it's finally what I knew in my head and have known in my head all morning, but can't prove. Finally, that's right. Finally,
100%.
I've been working out
I
this
knew
equation in
it.
front of you guys, but now it's right. And
I knew it. Yep,
that's the part
exactly.
where the certainty of electronics kind of robs that. That's the part of the equation where you're like, man, there's these people that just walk amongst us that don't just go through the motions, that don't just, like, I mean, a lot of times when I'm fishing, I'm like, okay, I hit that corner there, but what they're envisioning is so much more than what the average angler does. So it's pretty incredible.
Here's my analogy to those guys. They look at things like they see like what a dragonfly sees, or a fly, with all the little eyes in the eye, because they notice things like oil slicks on the water.
Yeah.
They notice grass, a little twitch. They know that that's not a carp, because carp don't move grass like that. They know, they see the little indicators, and they'll flip over there. Boom, there's a freaking 3-pounder or whatever it was. I knew that was a fish. I knew that was a bass. And then you really start scratching your head like, good Lord, not just experience, but that's acute attention to detail that make you legends in whatever game you're playing, whether it's your Nolan Ryan throwing fastballs or whatever you're doing. Those are the little things that matter, that make them who they are. And it really is special. They're different. They're different, man.
They really are. They really are an incredible, incredible people and anglers. And dude, if the world ends, guys like me, like if it becomes The Walking Dead, I'm the worst dude. I mean, nobody wants the loud guy that can introduce them. Like, I'm just gonna get you found and eaten. But the 2 dudes you want to run to, Greg Hackney and Jason Christie, are the first two, just because they got that. It's not just a fishy sense. It's
No.
there's certain people that they are just outdoor savvy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I'm not experienced it with them, but I guarantee you they know when. I mean, this sounds weird, but they feel storms coming, and you know what I mean.
They know
They're
when
just
they're
that
going to
in
kill a
touch
deer, when
with.
the big bucks are up on their feet, when the big females are where they're going to be, or whatever. That's why they're so successful. And I'll go back to what you said about, this is the only time I'm going to mention forward facing sonar, but it's the opposite of what we normally talk about. I asked Greg, I said, like, how do you feel about it? He goes, I'm not particularly for it, but it's not for the same reasons that everyone else is against it. He's like, I think it's part of technology, it's part of technological advancement. There's nothing wrong with it. He said, but when I'm looking at it, I've tried to learn and I've got a long way to go, but I feel like it makes me think differently and I don't want to get away from that. It
Yeah.
makes me want to look down and pay attention to what I'm seeing and I'm missing everything else is going on. And I thought that was freaking marvelous how he explained why he doesn't like front facing sonar. It has nothing to do with, young people using it like a video game or it's not real fishing or any of that. He just said it makes me think differently and I don't like to think that way. And he left it at that. And I thought that was pretty simple.
But smart. I mean, it's and where he's in other environments where he can't get those senses and stuff, he doesn't mind using it. When they go north, when it's deeper water and stuff like that, but there's a lot less telltales to what the fish are doing in deep water without those eyes. It's wild. It really is wild.
Let me give you this wild. This I know we're probably running
No, you're
running
fine.
over.
You're fine. We always do. We always do.
We were at Lake Seminole last year, and we were
Uh-huh.
back there where on day 4 where Greg was catching those bedded fish in like chocolate milk. I mean, the water was just dirty, but it was a cool spot, and there were coots and gallinules around, and there was like a small, maybe 2 or 3 flock of coots swimming along the bank, and one of them like scurried away from this point, like shh, like that. And dude, he casted. I don't remember what he was throwing, if it was a bug or a chatterbait or whatever, but he threw. I remember it was white. He threw over there and caught a 3 or 4 pounder off of that point, and he goes, that fish was on a bed, and when those coots swam over it, that fish came up to guard the bed, came up and like bit that coot on the foot. That's why that coot scooted, and I knew that, and that's how he caught that freaking fish. Honest engine.
Wow.
It's gotta be on video somewhere. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
People don't think like that. There's so many people and that's the knowledge that people talk about. You know what I mean? That's the um they're pretty incredible dudes. They're pretty
they really
incredible
are.
dudes.
We're so
Yeah.
lucky. We've been saying this quite often, but we're just so lucky.
You think
Um,
they ever say it about us?
Never, never. They've never said it, probably never will. At least not about me,
Nor
maybe
should they.
you.
No, no, no,
I
nor
hear people
should
talk
they.
about how amazing you rattle off all the details and stuff about people, but I'm pretty sure they don't feel lucky when I'm in the boat unless they win. And
No.
I have my buff on.
Yeah, did you get your buff back?
I did. I did. I called John Garrett before he put in the water on day 1. I go, dude, do you have my lucky buff? I'm with Clunn today. He goes, yeah, it's in my boat. I go, did you wash it? He goes, hell no.
But it wasn't lucky this week.
It was lucky for me because I got to be in the boat with Rick Clunn.
See how you always
I already
spin
knew.
that stinking buff.
Hey, I knew what I was going to say, and that was teed up after day 1, and I knew at some point I was going to say that to you.
Oh
Uh,
boy. But other than that, I mean, what else we got? We got nothing else, do we? Have you told all your stories? You got anything else
I
to get
think
out?
so. I'm sure there's some more, but man, that was it was. I mean, that's a lot of
A lot of
stories in
cool
a short
things.
amount of time, and a lot of cool experiences. And man, I keep logging these memories in, and I feel like I'm the luck. There was a guy, I think his name was Doug. Him and his wife came up to me. You know where I saw you by that little brick wall in front of the docks
Uh-huh.
at the takeoff. There was a couple standing there. Doug Hampton, I think was his last name. He's a huge fan of your show, and he mentioned Jake's take, and I could hear him saying over there to his wife, he goes, that is Jake's take." So I walk
You're
over
just
to him
Jake's take now. You've no
on
longer a
Mercer
last
on Mer-
name.
So we start talking, super, super nice couple, and they go to a lot of events. They
I
travel.
talked to them. I'm certain I
Okay.
talked to them.
Okay. And he said, God, I forget what the heck I was going to say. He said something about just I guess about the show and how, when they're not when they're in the on the road, when they're driving, no matter where they're going, they're listening to the Mercer podcast. And it's incredible what um the people we're around, the stories that we get to tell and share. That's what this is about to me, is being able to, I love experiencing these these you know, these once in a lifetime memories with people. Winning the classic with Jason Christie, being in the boat with Hackney, at Lake Seminole, or being in the boat with Clunn or Brandon Polinick or whoever it is. These are once in a lifetime opportunities, but they don't really, that they mean a lot to me internally, but they mean a lot more when we can share them with people, and people, get the vibe or understand, you know, that must have been incredible to be to be witness, be able to witness. And those people that we met there at the dock in the morning are the epitome of why I like I like to be a storyteller, because of people like that and how much they enjoy it and appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. I mean, literally right before you started talking about that couple, I was about to say, what's incredible to me is the amount of people I meet at events that mention the show. And then, like, immediately at some point in the conversation, they're like, "Where's Jake?" And then, I'll always point you out, or, I'll say whose boat you're in if you guys are out in the water or whatever. But I think you
Doug
explained,
Alexander. I just want
see,
to get it right, because I looked it up, because
see, well, you're better
they
at
were
stuff. You
they
write
were
down
so
things.
kind. They were so kind. It's Doug Alexander. They
You're
were
now
so
texting with him. You're like buddies with him.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go.
Oh, you're a
We'll
man
probably
of the
go fishing
people.
one day. Yeah.
I
But
like that.
but I wanted to get that right, so that because they were so nice and so complimentary and so appreciative to be around the Bassmaster Elite Series. And they're literally standing at the dock, absorbing every second that they can of all that stuff. And it's people like that that make bass what it is today.
Truth. That is the truth. And I think what makes you good at your job is exactly what you just explained a little while ago about the 10 casts leading up to the fish bite. You're not about just the dude who wins. It's cool to be with Jason Christie when he wins the classic, but you experience the road getting there. So I'm thankful that people listen to us babble
Me too.
along. There's some dudes that don't, but we like the ones that
That's
do.
okay. Yeah. One guy
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's more than one, but there's one dude who
I
would.
know for sure one guy doesn't.
Well, it's about time. I mean, when you got a little hate, I was like, finally, you've made it, Jake.
You're
They
there. You're
hate
there,
you now
Jake.
because because
Hey,
I mean,
if you don't have haters, you ain't doing it right, buddy.
you're not hated, you have not made it.
That's
Because
right.
everybody deals with it eventually, and the good news is that it's very little around this show, and that's the one thing I'm most thankful for. It amazes me the amount of people that listen to this show all around the world. Like, I'm so amazed by it. But what I'm most proud of is, and I keep saying it, but at a time when everybody is throwing shit, and literally, like, I mean, it is the amount, like, you do something wrong, you're going to get, like, if you win a tournament, a bunch of people are going to call you to come on a podcast. But if you get DQ'd for a tournament, twice as many people are going to call you to be in a podcast. But at a time when everybody's throwing crap, I like that we're able to have conversations that are real, that are honest, and some people care enough to listen.
Someone did tell me at
Oh,
day three weigh-ins, back by the tanks on that sidewalk where everyone's hanging out. Someone said to me, like, what we really love about your show, y'all's show, is how positive you are. And Dave Mercer likes to keep things positive. And I said, you just nailed something that will stroke Mercer's heart like a guitar string, because that's how Mercer is, and that's how he wants this to be. This is a positive show, and we're not slinging shit.
Well, I just think that, I mean, it's easy to be negative, and I just think
It
that there's
is.
way too much to be positive about. Like, yeah, sure,
Exactly.
is forward-facing sonar a problem in tournament fishing? Yeah, it is. It's a big problem. Whether it should stay, whether it should go, what, all of that. These are all things, real conversations. But ultimately, at the end of the day, anybody who tunes into this, dude, they got other shit going on in their life. They got real problems, and
Yeah.
to hear a fisherman whine about, you know, it's just stupid to me. It's like we are living at it. Like, we're living at a time where we can watch live bass fishing.
It's,
And like, just say that to yourself. 10 years ago, like
I
when I
heard you just
started
say it, and I
this
was like, oh
job,
my God.
it's just, there's way too much to be happy about. And if you can't see that, and hey, dude, I can go down a negative road. Trust me. So part of my push to be positive is to keep me from being negative. Anyways, I digress. Jake's Take. We'll see you when? A couple weeks.
Couple weeks, Lake Murray.
Looking forward to it.
Yep.
Bye.
They're gonna be spawning.
What?
They're gonna
No.
be spawning there?
Some. I think some, but I
The
think
shed.
it. I mean, if there was fish spawning in Florida, there'll be fish spawning there. But I think it'll be mostly post spawn. I would imagine. I don't know. We'll find.
Someone mentioned to me I think it was either Hackney or Clunn said that there should be some fish on the beds there because
Oh,
that's
there's.
typically a late spawning lake,
I mean, if they were still spawning in
cold
Florida
water on it. Yeah, the
2 weeks from now,
springs.
there'll still
Yeah,
be some. I would imagine, and
yeah.
our group's pretty good at finding the ones that are left. Clearly.
You better watch out.
Um. All right. This has been Jake's Take. Always great stuff with Jake, a fun conversation. And now for something completely different. The newest Bassmaster Elite Series champion from Peterborough, Ontario, Canada, Cory Johnston. Dude, you are now a Bassmaster Elite Series champion.
Feels pretty good. Not gonna lie.
Does it, what feels better, the fact that you actually won or the fact that you don't have to listen to any more chirping about not winning one?
Well, I'll tell you what, the way the group chat was this morning, I'm still getting chirped. I'm getting lit up like a Christmas tree all day today. I went and had breakfast with a buddy. He took a picture. I had like pancakes and eggs, and now I'm a fat bastard, and like it never ends.
Well, I mean, if you can't have a celebratory breakfast, who can?
Fair enough.
Dude, you told me after you won this tournament, and you said that you kind of felt going into this event, you felt like you were going to win. Is that real? And how often does that happen?
Yeah, I mean, like it was weird. I said to my camera guy, I said, I don't know. I said, I got a good feeling about this week. And that was before practice even started. So, um, I don't even, I don't know. I don't even know what to tell you, but, everything just kind of worked out good.
How often do you have a feeling like that? And I mean, have you ever experienced that before?
I mean, not really in the elite series, but like local tournaments and stuff. I mean, you just kind of know, but, that one was just a little different.
So what did it feel like?
I mean, felt like I couldn't really do anything wrong, right from the get-go. I pulled into the spring the first morning and, I was expecting there to be multiple boats in there, and there wasn't a single boat in there. And I was like, oh, this is good. I've expected some to come in behind me, and I'm fishing away and hadn't seen anybody. And I knew Chris was coming, and, I had it to myself for almost 2 hours. And then Caleb rolled in, and then Matt Airy, and then Chris came in. So, for there only to be basically 4 boats in there was pretty incredible.
Why do you think that was?
Well, I know why it was, and that was because the first day of practice in the morning, Chris went in there, and he called me. He said, "Dude, it's loaded. Like I seen giants." I said, "Perfect. I'm gonna go find some backup fish." And I went and found backup fish. Had a good day of practice, and then I went in there I don't remember if I went in there late in the day, the first day, or the second. Yeah, the first day, mark some fish. And then I went in there the second day, and I was going to mark some new females and, see what was going on again. And I couldn't see. It was windy, and the wind had switched, and it was blowing the dirty water into the clean water. So anybody that went in there the second day wasn't able to see anything. So, unless you were there at prime time on the first day of practice, you weren't going to see a whole lot.
Cool. How ironic is it that, I mean, I don't know if this is something you're proud of or not, but you've kind of got a reputation as a partier. And how ironic is it you win it in the middle of an absolute party that you had to avoid?
It was a good party. I mean, they were playing some good music, at least, that's for sure.
What is the most bizarre thing that happened while you were competing? At one point I was watching and a guy just kind of walked, never swam through, never kayaked through, walked through the area. I don't know if whether it was your buddy or whether it was your brother or you that was fishing at that point, but what bizarre things did we not see?
Bizarre things that happened during the tournament that we didn't see
At the party.
Oh,
that you were.
Lots of paddle boarders, lots of there's all sorts of different characters in there. Yeah, a lot of thong bikinis, that's for sure. Yeah, there was a lot of them. Yeah, I had to keep telling the camera guys, you gotta watch me. You gotta watch me, guys. But no, we had fun, the music was going, and I mean, at the end of the day, it didn't really mess with the fish too much because they kept like going up and down the middle where there really wasn't any fish spawning. So, it didn't really affect them at the end of the day, I don't think.
I'm sure you were telling the camera guys to pan away from that.
Absolutely, I was.
Yeah. That's totally your personality. How bizarre is it that I mean, dude, I believe you're the only one ever. I mean, you're the only one while I've been there, and I've talked to Trip, and that you didn't have to fish. I mean, we've had some amazing wins in the past where, the Timmy Horton come in and eat pizza win, but dude, he still had to fish the last day. To have a lead and not have to fish. I mean, obviously you didn't know that all day, but does that, I mean, have you thought about that?
Yeah, a little bit, it's yeah, I mean, I was talking, I think, to Livesey, and he's like, imagine you had a big enough set of balls that you just went out and got drunk and didn't even make a cast. And I said, yeah, I don't think I could do that. But, it was, I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's never been done before as far as I know. So just got to one up Chris on one more thing.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I hear Chris in the background. Let's just bring Chris in. Tell him to come in here because he's chirping away in the background anyways.
Him and Gardner here. Hanging out with Gardner.
Well, come on over here because you're loud anyways.
There's gobblers in the backfield. We were checking them out.
You weirdos don't really care about fishing right now, do you? First of all, get closer together. I'm going to be more bossy in this.
Really?
Get closer together. You're home to just hunt. That's literally why you came home, correct?
7 days, and the kids want to go fishing and hunting. So turkey opens tomorrow. We're trying to get them lined up. There's like 5 in the backfield, and then after that,
what would be nice, Dave? I'm going to go on a little rant here for a second.
I'd love you to.
The Ontario hunting regulations don't allow kids to shoot animals. It's absolutely absurd.
Until they're 12.
Until they're 12 years old. I mean, how's that? How do you get kids into the sport and, do that when they can't? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
You need to go to Texas and see how it's done there.
That's right.
Like having a 6 or 7 year old shooting a big buck or something. That's what I think he's getting at. It's pretty cool to see like your kid that it's all about safety. Obviously, you look after them. There's only one gun, but you set them up and let them shoot their first deer or something. But in Ontario, you're supposed to wait until they're 12.
Wow. I didn't know that. Did you guys shoot one before you were 12?
No
comment.
Do that. We do the police.
You would never do that. No, I'm just wondering. I mean, maybe the regulations have changed.
Oh, they haven't changed.
No, you just don't.
Still in Ontario.
Chris, what do you think about your brother's an Elite Series champion now?
I think it's about time. Took
He's
long
actually,
enough.
well, yeah, but all of a sudden you're that lonely guy with just one win. Him and Gussie now have multiple Bassmaster wins.
That's right, Dave.
I
forgot about that.
have an FLW win, Dave, if we really want to get technical.
They're out of business, bro.
Yeah. A what win?
I still got the trophy and the money.
Yes, you do. It was a pretty incredible week. At what point did you have that same special feeling going into this week that Cory professes that he felt he was going to win going into this week? Did you?
I was pretty excited going into this one for sure. I kind of I screwed myself up because I knew those bettors were in that spring after the first day, and I said to him, I'm like, I could have weighed like 33 pounds, but I'm like, I feel like it's going to get hammered because when I was in there, Matt Airy was in there, Caleb Summerall, me. And I'm like, that's just when I was in there for an hour. So how many other boats are going to go in there and see those fish? And then it got windy and you couldn't really see in there. But on day 2, I found some giant bedders just in some canals off the main St. John's. And they were easy to catch. So I'm like, I'm going to start on those ones. I didn't think many people would be on them. And that backfired. Every female left. And then he went to the spring. And yeah, the rest is history.
Well, he's got one up on you now because, you had the only Canadian ever to win initially, and then you were the first Canadian to ever win. And now he is, are you ready for this? An angler so great. He once won a 4-day tournament in 3 days.
I like that, Dave. I like that.
His head's not going to fit through the doorway if you keep blowing him up like that. I like that.
I thought you might like that, Cory. I intentionally didn't tell you about it while we were on the phone because I wanted to see your reaction to it.
His ego's big enough.
How do you think this affects his career moving forward? Do you think he becomes more lethal or just out of touch and out of control now?
I think it'll be easier now. Now that the first one's done, that's breaking the ice. And I don't know. I think it's going to be easier now.
All right.
All right. Coming this year, Dave.
What's that?
I feel like I got another one coming this year.
Really?
Dude.
But it won't be on the St. Lawrence because I'm going to win that one.
I feel like it will be on the St. Lawrence, Dave.
No, disagree.
What? I mean, why wouldn't it be on the St. Lawrence, Chris?
I'm going to win it. So he's not.
I'll decide.
Are you in control now, Cory? Have you finally assumed dominance in this relationship?
Always been boss, Dave.
Always.
Always.
Outside of fishing, Cory did make a comment to me this weekend that literally made my head turn around and be like, what? And Chris, I want your opinion on this. He told me this week that he might get last time we did this podcast, you guys talked about the double life suspension that Cory has in ball hockey. He thinks he's making a comeback this year. Is this true?
It's up in the air.
In his mind, it is.
It's up in the air.
The league convener retired, so he's hoping the new guy lets him in. That's the only reason.
Wishful thinking, but you never know.
He could use some cardio.
So there's no real facts to this. This is just opinion.
It's wishful thinking.
We'll see. We'll see how good our buddy Darren is at sweet talking.
Gardner, you want to just come say hi? Here, come say hi. You take my spot. No.
Come on. Come say hi.
Get in there.
Oh, wow. This is awkward. Sit down on the leather couch. Sit on the pleather. Whoa.
He's supposed to be working right now.
Yeah, he's hiding from work.
Well, don't worry. It airs at nighttime. We'll tell him we recorded it live.
Typical hydro worker, just playing hide and seek all day.
That's the masturbator, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's him.
He's so tough when not in front of the camera, but behind the cameras. He loves to throw shots.
That's right. He'll talk a big game, and then a hot girl will walk around, and he'll run and hide. Dave, it's just the same thing.
Oh wow, Chris, I sound just like you did last time we did a podcast.
I was dying last time.
This
grilled cheeses, by the way, we had last time.
What?
Last time, the best grilled cheese I've ever eaten when we were doing the podcast. You guys
yeah. What are you eating today?
Hoping Cory's wife will make another one, to be honest. She's thinking about it.
Well, she's working on it, maybe.
All right. Lunch is coming. So this week, one of the most talked about things, and I think it's just a crappy part of the world now. It's like anybody wins anything and everything is scrutinized and taken apart. So I'm going to ask you to talk about it. Tell me about the fish that your brother so kindly pointed out for you, but in retrospect, probably wish he never said a word about it to you.
Yeah, I wish he never even said anything and caught it, and he would have finished second, and it would have been even better. But yeah, he just caught a 3-pounder and a 6-pounder, and I said, dude, I need one more. And he was like trolling over one, and he sees it. He goes, I just went over a great big one. And so I trolled over there, put my poles down, and it was windy and ripply. I couldn't see good. And I'm looking at my perspective, and I see one come out and do a loop. And I made a cast over there with like a weightless wacky worm. One cast, and my line just went bonk and started swimming off, and set the hook, caught it, and the hook was in the lip. Like, I mean, like right on the bottom of the lip. And I guess some people got pissy then, said, oh, you sight fished it, was hooked outside the mouth, which in bass's rules, if you sight fish a bedding bass, it must be hooked inside the mouth.
Yep.
If you sight fish a bass that is not on a bed, it does not have to be hooked inside the mouth.
You
cannot intentionally hook it outside the mouth. Whereas this one, it didn't even matter because I never visually seen the bass. And I mean, it was as close as you could possibly get. And people are like, well, why didn't you call Lisa? And I said, well, it didn't matter because I didn't see the bass. So, in my mind, it wasn't even a question. But
you had to take a polygraph.
Yeah, I had to take a polygraph, and Lisa called me up. She said, hey, I need to talk to you. I said, yeah, no problem. Her and Chris Bose, and they were doing their job. And
what time did this call happen? Like, how soon after weigh-in do you get a call?
Oh, like not long after. I was just about to pull into the service yard, and so I don't know, like
5:30.
5 o'clock, I would say.
Okay.
5, just after the weigh-in was finished. And yeah, so we went through the whole thing. They did their due diligence, and they did their job correctly. And I said, let's do a polygraph just to make sure. And passed it with flying colors and carried on. And that was that.
The fish was hooked inside the mouth. Wasn't that the question?
No, the question was, there was a couple questions, but it was, one of them was, did you intentionally snag or hook a bass outside the mouth? And the other one was something along the lines of, did you visually see this bass before you threw out and caught it? Something along those lines. So all was good.
When you get a call like that, I mean, the Cory I know, I would imagine gets pissed. What was your reaction to that
Well,
call?
originally I was pissed, but like, I knew I did nothing wrong. Like, I had nothing to worry about. I called Chris, and I'm like, these people make me so mad because, they just, all of a sudden, they just assume that, oh yeah, he sight fished, it was hooked outside the mouth. Like, there is one angler that when I see him, I am going to chew his face off. I'll be honest with you. And that's the second time that he's called on me, and just like ridiculous. So yeah, he's not going to want to see me, but just like do your due diligence before you just assume something.
So as an angler that informed them, or I don't know where they found out. I just heard that it was going down.
There's definitely one. I had a couple calls yesterday driving home that said, hey, just so you know, this angler's been he's the one that passed on this information, and this guy did a podcast on, or a social media post on it because this guy gave him the information. So yeah.
I think the weird thing is that there's people making videos out there right now that are like, oh, it's going to be reviewed later on this week. The Bass is going to release the footage. I mean, it's a professional tournament. They wouldn't let you, you know what I mean? They wouldn't award you as the winner if there was something in question. And it turns out that even though Chris was being nice with that 7-pounder, it really was bad.
I should have just caught it.
Should have smoked it.
Caught it, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you would have loaded the hot seat, would have been a lot less uncomfortable for me. More and Cory would have loved to knock you out of the hot seat.
I probably would have threw it a 25-pound test and cracked its ass and boat flopped it too. 7-pounder in the boat, no questions asked.
Sure, he would have.
You wouldn't have messed around with one of those weightless worms, right? You would have totally.
Right. Yeah.
As if a weightless worm is a great snagging tool. Like if you were going to snag a fish, that's probably the last thing you'll pick up.
Right. Like, and if you watch the video, Lisa's like, do you want to see the video? I'm like, no, not really. I mean, I know what happened. And like, I literally cast it out there and it's sitting there in a slack line and I just set the hook and the fish is on. Like, anyway, doesn't matter. It's over with. And,
you didn't even need that fish. You didn't even need the next day's. How much stress did you go? I mean, when you caught the 7 on Sunday morning, were you like, this is game over in your head, or did you still?
Yeah, like I said, if I had 13 pounds in the first, 20 minutes of fishing, and I was like, man, they got to catch them to.
Well, Brad would have had to got 27.
Right. So, and then, I bumped that up to like 14 something. And then at the end of the day, I've lost a big one and caught 2 big ones. So, I pretty much knew then, it was pretty well done.
Well, you were right. You were correct, because it was done.
Done after the first fish. Yeah.
Which is what that stretch of pads, you fished that before, right? That was where you fished the previous year?
In 2019, when Chris finished second and I was 8th, I fished that stretch of pads, and I ended up catching like 3 or 4 great big ones out of that little stretch.
It worked out pretty good this time. Chris, why didn't you win this week?
Because I was just being a nice brother, Dave. I thought I'd let him have it the first day. I'd give him a head start, and then I was too far behind, unfortunately. So I had to step back. To be honest, I didn't realize how many fish were in that Salt Springs. In practice, I saw like probably 5 or 6 over 6 pounds, like 6 to 8 pounds. But then it got windy, and I didn't realize that they were all over the middle of that spring as well. You couldn't see unless it's dead calm in there.
So
when it just so happened in the tournament, it slicked off, and you could really see how many were in there, and you just expand, and it was crazy to see how the fish were pulling up as the day went on. You just go looking for beds, there'd be some males, and then all of a sudden you'll come across one that's a female. And then you go across some of those old beds that you saw earlier in the day, there'd be a new female pulled up to it. And you just keep going, all of a sudden you'll find one female that was ready to catch. And it was amazing how the fish were pulling up. Day 2, there was more bass in there and females than there was on day 1. You'd think it'd be picked over, almost done, but it's actually the opposite.
I actually ended up catching 2 or 3 fish that weren't even on beds. Like, they were just females cruising around. And like, I'd be pulled down on one and I'd see like a female swimming around beside the boat, like, 10 yards away, and I'd throw out to it and they'd come over and eat it. Like, that happened, I think, 3 different times.
When that happens, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Those things normally never bite.
Well, it was definitely meant to be. I can't wait to watch you guys battle it out in the sim. He's gone now. He's just in and out, half in the screen, off the screen. Who knows? Why does he think he's going to beat you in the St. Lawrence River? Come on.
Oh,
because I do every time, Dave.
Wow.
That's up for debate, isn't it?
He gets scared of the water.
Oh my
Last year,
Oh, boy. Okay, sit down and be part of the show, or don't be part of the show. Sit down. Yeah. Chris, sit down right now and sit right beside your brother. I'm tired of
turkey season.
Get close.
Talking time.
Okay, well, let's get this crap over with so you can go turkey hunting, because I mean, this isn't some shitty podcast, bro. This is my podcast. This is my shitty podcast. So what, how do you say you beat him every time?
Almost on the St. Lawrence, yes.
I'm sure you can pull the stats up, Dave.
Well, I probably could, but I'm not Waking
I'm
up
thinking
to-
last year I finished second. He was what, 10th,
No, it wasn't 10th.
9th? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but
No.
by that point, he had laid off for you, hadn't he?
Yeah,
No.
exactly. Yeah.
Hoping you
I-
would get the victory.
He
Nice.
caught them off of all of my spots that I found.
Not a chance.
Are you high?
Your spots. Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
God.
We fished them for 10 years, but now they're his spots, Dave.
I don't know. I mean, only you guys know whose spots. Talk to me.
Basically, the whole Canadian side of Lake Ontario, he says, is his spots, and I get the US side.
That's right.
And last year, the US side sucked for some unknown reason. So I was fishing the Canadian stuff, which we fished for 10 years together. But he just doesn't like seeing me over there.
Gotcha. Speaking of the Canadian thing, Panger brought this up to me earlier in this week, and the more I think about it, the more shocking it is. If you look back to 2019 to today, Canadians have won 6 Bassmaster events. If you include the Opens, the Elite Series, the Bassmaster Classic, you guys have literally won everything there is to win in pro fishing except for Angler of the Year, and both of you have been close at that. And we even have a Canadian, Evan Kung, leading the EQs. Dude, at one time people said there would never be a Canadian. To hear that, it's got to be pretty. I mean, you guys are a big part of that, but it's pretty amazing what's happening in the sport.
It is. And like,
It's really cool to see what's going on in the Opens, too.
people always, I got asked it a million times last week is, how do you guys come all the way to Florida and win? And I don't think people truly realize what our fisheries are like here. And, it's not just gigantic Great Lakes. It's, small inland lakes, and they're filled with milfoil, hydrilla, pads, mats, docks. And, that's how we all love to fish, and Florida is just kind of replicates that.
Yeah, and Dave, your backyard is a largemouth factory. You didn't even fish smallmouth there until about 5 years ago. So growing up, we really didn't even fish smallmouth within 45 minutes where we lived, and every tournament was one on largemouth. So it's just, that's how we grew up fishing.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I said that about 100 times on live because I think it's just, I mean, by this point, you'd think everybody would know. I mean, you guys have been a player. I mean, sure, you compete in smallmouth events, but everywhere. I mean, from the first time you fished the Elite Series on the St. Johns River, you guys have been in the mix there. It's why do you think the Canadian thing is, for as few anglers as we have fishing, why do you think that they're doing as well as they have?
It's a good question. We actually have really good competition up here. If you look at kind of the top anglers in Ontario, there's a select few that are always dominating, and they're starting to realize, hey, if I want to do this and have a go at making the elites, I'm gonna have to go to the States. And there isn't the stuff there is available to fish anymore in Canada. So instead of fishing here for fishing 7 or 8 tournaments like we did growing up, they're saying, let's go fish 3 or 9 open tournaments, and let's see if we can do the whole elite thing. And it's really cool to see that a lot of guys are trying to make a go of it. Really, Gussie's the one that started. He was the first Canadian to go down and fish the US tour.
Did he go down before you guys?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
did a year or two on the
Year or two
FLW.
before, yeah.
So,
I didn't know that. I thought it was right around the same time.
but yeah, there's some really good sticks here, and you know who they are here in Canada, and they're realizing, hey, we can go down there and have a chance of doing it. And they're very well-rounded anglers up here. That you have to be able to catch largemouth and smallmouth, obviously. So
I think, and I never thought about it until I worked down there for quite a while. Then it really stood out to me. I think we way underestimate how versatile, especially Ontario is, which is where most of them are coming from. Not, no shade on any other province, but most of the anglers are coming from Ontario. But it's, with the exception of tidal fisheries, you guys know how to fish everything there is. Like, that's the only thing that we don't have. I mean, we got clear water, dirty water, weeds, rock.
Like offshore largemouth, like deep 30-foot, like Tennessee River kind of stuff. And then you got to learn about shad spawns. You got to learn about stuff like that we don't have. But I mean, you catch on to that stuff pretty quick.
Why do you think we don't have the deep largemouth? Is it just the season's not long enough to get them to set up out there? Or?
No, I just don't think that we have the bait that that goes out that deep. And in certain lakes, you know, like Rito, stuff like that, you can catch largemouth deep out there. But I think it's mainly the forage.
I think
Gotcha.
most fish are all bluegill oriented for the most part.
Bluegill, goby oriented.
Yeah, makes sense. Which one is the better turkey hunter?
He's a better caller. I'll give him that.
So you're better at calling.
I know you were looking for more out of that, Dave. I'm sorry, but he's the better turkey caller. I'll give him that. But I've shot bigger deer, so it evens out. I've also shot bigger elk.
I have to go elk hunting to shoot one.
You've never elk hunted?
No.
It's a touchy subject.
Yeah, it is a touchy subject.
Oh. So do I want to peruse into the subject?
Well, I got to go on a once in a lifetime elk hunt. It was offered to both of us. And a buddy of ours called us and said, I want you to both be on the phone at the same time. And he told us, he said, I got an elk hunt. It's paid for. It's for one of my clients. They backed out. The bad news is only one of you can come. And he got to do a sailfish or marlin fishing tournament like 4 months prior with him. So I was like, well, it's my turn.
I mean, I was being the nice brother. I'm like, yeah, you know, if you can go, great. And I figured he's going to have his kids, so there'll be no way that he'll go. I'll look like a good guy telling him he can go. And then he's like, okay, sweet, I'm going. And I was like, oh, that
it was like the hunt of a lifetime too. So it was the most addicting thing I've ever done. I'd give up deer hunting to do that every year.
Really? What's so addictive about it?
It's like turkey hunting on steroids.
Yeah,
having to kill them with a bow.
Yeah, having these elk come bugling, screaming at you, and like 30, 40 yards away, they're coming through the trees, raking them, and there's snot blowing out of their nose. It's the most adrenaline rushing thing you've ever done. And you got a bow in your hands, and you got to try and kill them. So it was really cool.
Cory, do you hate sailfish ever since that day? Damn sailfish tournament. Or marlin.
Never actually caught one. I think we hooked one.
No.
It was I forget the Emerald Coast Blue Marlin tournament or something like that. It was a big tournament. Like, it was a lot of fun. It was a great experience for sure. We caught a ton of big tunas.
But would you rather go elk hunting or marlin fishing?
I would have rather go elk hunting. But I mean, I do want to catch a marlin too. I mean, I want to do a lot of things.
You guys have done a lot of things in the Elite Series for the short period of time that you've been there, but already you're getting compared to the Lanes, and which is probably the most accomplished brother tandem. When you leave this sport, do you guys want to own that title?
Absolutely. I mean, you know,
I'd never really thought about it, to be honest, but yeah, it'd be pretty cool.
It would be cool. You know, I don't like to lose at anything I do. I don't care if I'm playing checkers or cards or whatever. I don't like to lose. And, you know, I want to win as many trophies as I can, as many titles as I can. And, you know, if we can both do that, I think, you know, we'll be pretty successful.
How important is that aspect as an angler? Because on the Elite side, I don't think people realize just how freaking competitive all you idiots are. Like, if I hang out with you guys on a bad weather day or whatever, no matter what we're doing, it seems like you guys are competing. Like, and I don't just mean you two. I mean, I mean, Lee Livesey, everything.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
How important is that to have that? Like, is it possible to make it on the Elite Series and not be that super competitive freak?
I mean, I'm sure you could be, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think you want that killer instinct to be able to get the job done and, you know, kind of step on their throats at the end of the day.
Yeah, you got to want it. One of the best of all time, KVD. I think anyone that knows him knows he's the most competitive person. It doesn't matter what he does, and they're usually the most successful. So
nice guys finish last, Dave.
Well, you can still be a nice guy.
Dave, I gotta go deliver a battery. Rush delivery.
Wow, sorry.
Come on.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. I just gotta go. It's nice seeing you.
Good seeing you too.
Chatting. See, they're calling. You guys have fun.
Yeah, bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Nah, about time we got rid of him.
Oh yeah, loser.
he's only good at elk hunt, dude. I mean, it is nice that you've won 2 and he's only won 1. Like, I mean, he's gonna bringing up an FLW in for a company that isn't even in business anymore. That's a little. I mean, how can you compare the two?
You can't. He's just reaching for straws, Dave.
So what's next for you now that you've? Okay, no, let me ask you this. I mean, you've been trash talked. You have been chirped. You have been as the guy who hadn't. You've been so freaking close until your boat started literally falling apart and all these different things. Was there a sense of relief? Like, I know you're a tough guy who's just like, oh, on to the next one. But like when you got in your car and started driving home, were you like, damn, I'm an Elite Series champion?
Honestly, not really. Like, I thought it would be a lot more like that. And I mean, it's almost like, okay, cool, I won, that's great, but like, let's go win another one. I'm not even, I don't even know how to explain that. It's just one of those things that it's kind of in the back of my mind now, to be honest with you. It's over, it's done with. And had a day after to kind of think about it and whatnot, let it sink in, and now it's let's go get another one.
I said this on the dock when we were talking, and from the outside, it really does feel like that this level of fishing is the only thing that's ever challenged you. I mean, every level you fished, like whether it was back in the day with the under 100 circuit and you're working your way up through different tournaments. I mean, dude, you almost won instantaneously. It feels like it didn't take long. How hard is it to win an Elite Series title?
No, I mean, it's hard. I mean, like, I've been so close so many times, and these guys are just so good. Like, people don't understand how good that these guys really are. It's one of the hardest things you can do. It is the hardest thing you can do in professional fishing, is to win an AOY, a Bassmaster Elite Series, and a Classic. I mean, I always said, like, if I win all 3 of those, I'm retiring. I'm done.
Do you think you really would, though? Now that you've won
Probably.
one,
I don't know. I really don't know. Like, my kids are getting to the age now where they're like, Jack's playing in a hockey tournament this weekend in Toronto, and he's 5 years old. He's a good little hockey player, and my young lad, he's getting into the hockey and lacrosse, and I don't want to be that dad that's never there for all their sports. It's I know what it was like when my dad was there watching me play hockey and whatnot. So I want to be the dad that's there to support them.
Yeah, it's tough to miss stuff, and you don't get another. It passes fast. Like, I mean, if you look at your kids, how quick. I mean, it doesn't feel like long ago you had Jack, and he's 5 already.
Yeah, exactly.
Time flies. So go win those next couple things, and I mean, be done, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
what would you do?
I don't know. I'd probably have to work at the battery shop.
Deliver batteries.
I have to get the old man to drop me a pin so I know how to get there.
See, that's why I feel like you won't retire. I feel like you would, even if you won those, you'd think about retiring. Then you'd be like, wait a second, I'd be delivering batteries every day. Might as well.
Maybe retire for a few years, and once the kids get old enough and they qualify for the Elite Series, I'll jump back in.
How much did it mean to you to have your family there, some close friends, Cole and Sloot travel down there to see you win? I mean, that's pretty strong to have people, literally travel through the night to make sure they're there for your moment.
Yeah, it is. And, it's no fun when you're there doing it by yourself, and we're lucky enough to have a great group of friends and family. And, they jumped on a plane and came down, and I'm glad it all worked out. It would have sucked if I hadn't won.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, but you are now the only Canadian that's ever won an Elite while people can actually cross the border, which is
that is true. That is true.
It's a nice little nugget to have. And you've won a 4-day tournament in 3 days. I mean, where you can top that. I mean, it's pretty tough to beat that. What bodies of water are you looking forward to? Obviously the St. Lawrence, but where else do we need to watch out for you?
I'm looking forward to Champlain as well. The rest of them, I don't really know. We got Murray coming up. We got Wheeler, Smith Lake. That's going to be a disaster on the 4th of July. Probably have some people being ran over.
But you do good with partiers. I mean,
this might be a little different, seeing as the bass will probably be swimming everywhere in the middle of the lake where everyone's skiing and tubing. And that'll be an interesting tournament. I'm not really sure how that one's going to play out, but I don't really know about those three. We were at Murray last year. That was the only time I fished it, and had a pretty good finish there. Did okay. And Wheeler and Smith, I've been to each of them one time. Wheeler was for the Forest Wood Cup, and I sucked. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to them, and hopefully we get a blue trophy at one of those three.
Where do you think this sport is in 5 years?
I have no idea. Don't know.
Do you even think about stuff like that? I don't feel like you're the kind, like there's some people who are like, I'm part of this industry and I need to, but I feel like you are literally this dude who just loves fishing and loves competing and loves to just roll down, do what you could do, and then just go into the woods and let it all.
That's it. I mean, at the end of the day, no one cares about my opinion. So, I mean, I can tell whoever I want, no one's going to listen. So, I just put my head down, go to work, do what I do. And, I mean, I'm not going to be the one that makes that decision. So, we just got to live with what they do, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a smart way to compete, dude. I mean, I think that I think this season's a prime example. There is some anglers, veterans that I believe if they look where they are in the standings, a lot of that's got to do with the fact that I mean, I know this sounds wrong, but there's all like a battle going on. Like this is wrong. That's right. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like you can really check yourself out of a tournament before it starts. If you're worried about the politics.
Yeah, I agree. Just shut your mouth and go fishing.
It's a great way to live life. Shut your mouth and go fishing. Have there been times in your life when you did the opposite?
Oh yeah, I have for sure. And just like I said, nobody listens, nobody cares. So, I voice my opinion, and they tell you to shut up. So you say okay, and you just go catch bass.
Who tells you to shut up?
I mean,
nobody's ever told you to shut up.
Well, I'm sure, yeah, they have. I'm sure they have, among other things.
So let's get you back into this ball hockey league. Let's plead to the new commission. Is it commissioner? Is that what it is? Convener,
I guess. Yeah.
So why should you be back in ball hockey? I mean, you got a double life suspension. That's hard to turn around.
Yeah, but it's a health concern, Dave. I need exercise. I'm a professional athlete, so I got to keep this body in check. And I need to be out there running around and scoring goals out there.
All right.
Well, all I can hear is people laughing at me in the kitchen right now.
How do I know that you're not going to? How do I know that you're not going to lose your shit again at the first game?
I'm getting old now, Dave. I turned 39 years old in May, which, I'm getting too old for that. There's got to be some younger guys to step in and take the job.
You're the oldest Elite Series champion of the season. How messed up is that? 39 years old, and you were the oldest.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know what it was earlier this year. I hurt my back. So I don't even think I told you this, but it was playoffs in hockey, and we were I usually miss the playoffs because we're away fishing sometimes, and I made the playoffs this year for a couple weeks, and I get out on the ice and I literally take a face off, puck goes into our end, and I pivot for a pass, and I tweaked my back, and I was on the ice for maybe 5 seconds. And couldn't walk for like a week. And so yeah, I'm getting old.
Maybe you should just stop playing hockey.
Can't do that. It's like crack, Dave.
Well, I mean, good luck getting back in that league. I don't know that.
I just got to take it easy.
Are you good at taking things easy or no?
I'm not that great, no.
Has that always been a weakness for you?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
Gotcha.
Yeah, usually pretty hard.
What's it like the day after you win an Elite Series event? Like,
well, you have a headache, and
why?
Well, we drank 3,000 Michelob Ultras. You were there.
I was there, and after I saw some of the videos, I wish I could have stayed there longer, but I had to go catch a flight.
Yeah. I wonder what Cooper did with that hot dog he was holding.
Poor Coop. I mean, he's a great angler, but he's a total mess. Huh?
You play that video on your podcast?
Should we?
Probably.
We can. Let me just cue her up.
Oh, so you do have it ready to go.
Oh, I got it on my phone. I mean, I've watched it 150 times. Okay, this is going to be not great audio or anything, but we're going to do this.
I bet you can eat that one night.
We got the trophy.
Put a hurt on the beers tonight. Billy Bumdart.
Oh, Billy, he's our camera guy. That's Cooper's brother.
No.
Coop's in rough shape.
No.
Bumdart?
Billy Bumdart.
Oh. So that's Jeff. He actually stopped drinking since January 1st, and that was his first night back on the job. You can't hear us.
Can't hear it. Can you?
You got her now.
Kick your ass.
What?
Oh!
I'm not scared of you.
Seen bigger arms on sunglasses.
That's not funny.
That's so good.
You said that to me like 20 minutes ago.
What? You're softer than a Tootsie Roll fruit cup.
Yeah, but you're talking to Cooper.
We'll hear it better.
On the beers tonight. Billy Bumdart.
Yes, sir. Real name? No. It is for now.
Bumdart?
Billy Bumdart. Make good entrance. The guy with Caddyshack. Yeah, that's not bad.
Oh boy.
You look cold, Jeff.
Softer than a soup sandwich.
Yeah, kick your ass.
What?
Oh! I'm not scared of you.
Seen bigger arms on sunglasses.
That's not funny.
You said that to me like 20 minutes ago.
What? You're softer than a Tootsie Roll fruit cup.
Yeah, but you're talking to Cooper.
Better little letter Kenny there.
I think it's better. It's real life letter Kenny.
That was a mild version.
Yeah. But the fact that you guys are just literally lifeless. Sloot's the best. Sloot's gone.
He's done.
So sorry, anyone that didn't want to see that video. Coop.
Whoops.
Coop isn't such a sweet, cuddly person that everybody thinks he is. But he's a mess. Like the thing about Coop is a mess in every element of his life except for fishing. Like you put him in any surrounding. What's that?
He couldn't fish, he'd be homeless on the street. Running around with a little wiener in his hand.
There was a wiener in the video, for those of you wondering. Coop's not walking around with a random little wiener in his hand.
I believe he did end up eating all of that.
Oh, I'm sure. So you got to go turkey hunting. I think we've covered most things and revealed more about that video. Hopefully people can actually see what it was, because we don't. Maybe I'll just add it in here. Like, I mean, I can show it now rather than put it on the screen. Like, rather than show it. Well, we'll see if I can pull that off. We'll find out. But you're freaking Elite Series. The only dude who's won a 4-day tournament in 3 days.
Yeah, I do like the sounds of that. It was a fun week. Like, I don't even know, like I said, I don't know what to say, but it was, everything went right. Every decision I made seemed to be the right one. And, I don't know, it just worked out.
So what do you got till next event? Turkey hunting and a bunch of podcasts, I imagine.
Try not to go too heavy on the podcast.
Okay. We signed an exclusive deal together, didn't we?
Something like that.
Yeah, I think that night we did.
Yeah, we did. I probably made a bunch of deals that I don't remember.
I got contracts. It's all in here. It's all on paper.
No doubt. No doubt. So,
what's the coolest call you've got or message you've got since you won?
I don't know. I can't really say one stands out. Just a bunch from sponsors and a bunch of people just saying, we knew it was going to happen. It's just a matter of time. And it's just cool getting all the calls from your buddies and mom and dad, how excited they were. And it's just good to win.
Your old man was walleye fishing when you were winning, right?
Oh yeah, he called me and they were celebrating the win, that's for sure.
Well, the good news is you won, and your brother's out delivering batteries today, and you're talking to me. So I think you won that. I don't know.
That's right.
All right. Anything else?
I don't know. You tell me. You're the host.
Where's the freaking trophy?
Well, I can go get it.
Oh, I mean, most guys put it behind them. You're in a looks like you're in a doctor's waiting room. White wall behind you.
Oh, that's it. There was a picture up there at one point, but Gardner and I, when we were kids, this is a long time ago. He pissed me off and I had my shoes on and I fired a shoe at him and totally missed him and smashed the picture all over. And we cleaned all the glass up and my parents weren't home. We cleaned all the glass up, and it wasn't that long ago that my mom's like, "Where did the glass go in this picture?" I'm like, "Oh,
she just noticed now."
20 years ago.
I feel like your poor mother was put through the ringer with you guys.
I mean, I feel like we were pretty good kids. I didn't think I caused that much trouble. Like I was behaved at school.
Somewhat.
The trigger didn't go off until I played sports.
So sports is what, I mean, sports drives you, but it also makes you snap.
Absolutely.
The good and bad of you.
Yeah. I don't know that I ever got into a fight in school. That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. I can't say that. So if you had to, if this week was your highlight in sports, what's your low light in sports?
A lot of dumb things in my life. I've started a lot of bench clearing brawls, fought a few goalies. I don't know. I've done some stupid stuff, that's for sure.
I feel like fighting the goalie isn't fair. I mean, the goalies, you can't move as much. They're not very agile.
I don't know. I remember one time I was playing, I think I was playing for the Lakefield Chiefs, and I remember having like a breakaway, but like the puck was way ahead of me. So I'm like racing to get this puck, and the goalie starts like coming out for the puck. And like we're meeting at like, the hash marks or top of the circles. And I remember thinking the whole time, like, I'm absolutely going to hit the goalie. Like, there's no way I'm not. And we met for the puck at the same time, and I hit this poor goalie, and it was just chaos ensued after that.
Shocking.
But yeah, there's been lots of those.
Outside of your brother, who drives you the most in the Elite Series? Like who, when you're ready to get off the water and pre-fish is kind of over, but you maybe could put another hour in, who's the guy that you're like, I don't want that guy to beat me?
Everybody. Like, I don't I don't want anybody to ever beat me. I mean, you know, Chris and I work pretty hard at what we do, and you know, I hate losing, like I said earlier. And you know, if we have to put that extra 10 minutes in and, you know, find one more spot, you know, that's what we do. And there's not one person that I want to beat more than another. Maybe literally.
There's some that you literally like to beat?
Yeah, there's a few people.
I mean, if I was a better podcast host, I would ask you who those people are, but I'm not.
We'll probably find out soon.
Oh, wow. Is it going to happen?
Oh, I'm going to embarrass them in front of everybody.
Wow.
They piss me off.
All right. Well, I look forward to finding out who that is.
Oh.
I probably know a few of them.
No doubt.
Do you put hours in on the water? Like, I feel like one of the things that stands out is you guys, the best people at this sport, don't, you know, a lot of times you'll have parents, high school parents and stuff come up and say, how many hours does my kid have to pre-fish? And I kind of feel like if you're counting hours, you're in the wrong business. Like, you guys don't. Do you count hours when you're on the water? Or are you like, okay, it's 5, I'm getting off now? Or you?
No, I mean, you fish till it's dark. You get on the water when it's dark and you fish till it's dark. You know, I don't get off, you know, when I was younger, like when I was high school and stuff like that, like, you know, I'm done school, I'm back in the boat and going fishing for 3 hours just because, you know, and that's just what we did.
It's who you are.
Yeah.
You're the only angler to win a 4-day tournament in 3 days, dude. And so keep being known for that, not being known as the angler that's beat the crap out of another angler.
I can't physically hurt them, but I just want to let them know that, you know, quit with the whining, the complaining, the bitching, like just shut up and go fishing.
Is that your least favorite part about today's fishing world?
It's my least favorite part about the world. Like, just shut up, you know?
Good advice. Just shut up.
Just shut up and don't vote for Trudeau.
Oh, God. Tell me how you really feel. I mean, this is the least political show in the world. But maybe you just made it the most political show in the world. But that's fine. That's fine. The champ is allowed to say what the champ wants to say. And
that's right.
I don't know that I disagree. Gussie once took him fishing. Did you know that?
No comment.
All right. All right. Happy turkey hunting.
Thanks, David.
Thank you for doing this.
Not a problem.
We'll see you soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye. There you have it. An angler so great, he once won a 4-day tournament in just 3 days. Cory Johnston. And I always ask anglers going into these shows, I'm like, hey, just be yourself. Be 100% who you are. This isn't a podcast. It's just a conversation. Well, thank you, Cory. You were 100% who you are. And that was a bizarrely fun conversation. And I hope you've enjoyed this particular brand of tomfoolery that you can catch each and every Wednesday. Until next time, Bob Cobb, take it away.
Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe because Bob Cobb of the Bassmasters told you to. You hear?